I texted him after UFC 263. I actually posted this. I got his permission to post it. I'm like, I don't know who else you represent, but if I'm on one end of the spectrum of who you represent, Nate Diaz has to be on the other end of it. So I guess let's get into that. Have you ever seen a fighter or any athlete who loses and gets the hearts and minds of the fan base to the point where it feels like you won? And Nate,
I'm so happy that you take that angle, because that is Nathan Diaz and his brother Nick, who for the longest time was way more popular than Nathan, but now Nathan has become a bigger star because of his activity, beating Conor, etc. That's them in a nutshell. Like, if you were just some casual sports fan and you went up to Wikipedia or something and you looked up Diaz's record and you're like, what, 13 losses for this guy? Like, this guy is a pedestrian journeyman fighter. But that's not understanding the magic of who he is and why people love him so much. The magic of who he is and why people love him so much is because of those 60 seconds, because he can lose a fight for 24 straight minutes. Nothing was in doubt. He was en route to losing, and then turn it on in the final 60 seconds. And then, as you said, walk out feeling like the winner, controlling the narrative, having people even more excited about him, having them forgetting about the 24 previous minutes. It's really an incredible thing that only he can pull off, because he has an incredible charm. He's a very smart guy. He doesn't get enough credit for how smart he is. And in MMA, thankfully, wins and losses don't mean as much as they do in boxing, where they're fixated on 45-0, 24-1, all this stuff. In MMA, the fans love you if you're real, if you're authentic, if you fight your heart out, if you bring it, if you're entertaining. And some of the best fighters in the history of the sport have double-digit losses like Diaz. But no one quite has a cult-like following like him. Everyone loves him. And credit to him, I wrote this on Saturday. Leon Edwards won the fight, but Nathan Diaz won the night. And once again, he proves that he doesn't need a W next to his name in order to gain new fans. He did it on Saturday for the way in which he ended that fight.
Especially when, he performs at his best when bleeding profusely, and then he takes the Pineapple Express to the post-game press conference, the post-match podium, and then so what's like next for him? What's his future? What do you think for Nate Diaz?
He's in a great spot because, again, he picked Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards was the guy on the 9-fight unbeaten streak. Diaz was the guy who was coming off a loss, who wasn't ranked, and said, I want to fight him. And Edwards, who some would argue should just wait for a title shot, was like, no, I'll fight this guy who's unranked. That's just how big of a star Nathan Diaz is. Back in 2014, if I may, Diaz was in talks to fight someone, and he was giving UFC president Dana White some headaches, as he's been known to do. And I was at a media scrum. Dana was there holding court, and he went on this tangent about how Diaz doesn't have any right to ask for X, Y, and Z, and famously said, Nathan Diaz is not a needle mover. This is a quote that you can look up. It's on YouTube. People wrote about it. And it's just so amazing to me that he is one of the very few needle movers in the sport. Like, this man moves the needle. The biggest stars in sport, in entertainment, go out of their way to watch this man fight. And so the world is his oyster. I think we wait and see what happens July 10th against Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor fight. And then if Conor loses that fight, and guess what? Even if he wins that fight, it might be the time to finally do that trilogy. You don't want to wait too long. Diaz is hot. Conor will be hot again. I would like to see it before it's all said and done. I think the fans would as well.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.